Hello and welcome to the Radio Scilly video news. Sign up to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Radio Scilly for updates on what's happening around the islands and video reports featuring the people and places you know. Our video report is brought to you in association with Truro and Penwith College. Read about courses and opportunities online and watch the building of the new Penwith campus at truro-penwith.ac.uk. Sign up to the Scilly Lottery and you've a 1 in 2,000 chance of winning £1,000. You can play if you live on the mainland. It helps keep Radio Scilly on air and funds good causes around the islands. Read more at scillylottery.com.
The Scilly Lottery, scillylottery.com.
A former St Mary's police officer who worked the beat in 1959 and 1960 is back on Scilly to see how policing has changed. John Harry has come back for his golden wedding anniversary with his wife, Margaret.
Golden wedding.
A special one.
Which was the 21st of May.
And who married you?
Yeah. Well, we were trying to think of that today. It was a Catholic priest from Penzance, but I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. But if we go back to the Catholic Church while we're here, they're going to find the book for us, and then we can pick up the priest's name.
Well, happy anniversary.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And John, if I can turn to you.
Yes. Yeah.
You were the sole police officer, were you?
Well, no, I wasn't. I came over here as a single policeman because they had a married policeman living here, and they had a married policeman and a single policeman. So I was a single policeman on the island in 1959 till 1960. We got married and we stayed here for another 6 months. In fact, we lived in the old dentist house just above Porthcressa Beach, and we had a lovely view. Of course, we were very lucky for 6 months. Our first married house, and that was what happened.
Now, when you watch programmes like Heartbeat on TV, was it similar to that then, with the policing methods then?
It probably was, only we didn't have any transport then. In fact, I can mention a name, can I? One of the chaps on the island was Johnny James. I don't know if you know Johnny James, do you? Well, he was a special constable, and the only vehicle we had was his, which was a little Land Rover. So if anything happened, we used his vehicle.
And I guess things are very different then with licensing laws. I suppose there were lots of lock-ins
well,
then, were
yes. In fact, I don't even think then they had car tax discs or anything like that. And one eventful thing, I suppose, on the islands was we had the first drunken charge.
Yeah, did you use a breathalyser for that then?
No, the breathalyzers didn't come in until the 70s, I don't think.
So how did you find somebody to be drunk then?
Well, somebody rang in and said, I think, because he was known, I won't mention his name, of course, he was known, he wasn't a local person, but they rang in and said, I think he's going to be driving again, drinking. But he wasn't local, so it doesn't matter.
So how did you nab him? You just pulled him over?
Yes, just pulled him over. Stopped him. In fact, I think I had a push bike then. It came out. It was just about here, on this road.
So just round Porthmelon?
Yeah.
And, you just smelt his breath, did you? That was
smelled his breath and just took him to the station. Because it's difficult to remember exactly what we did after that, but that was what happened anyway.
So what year was that then?
That was in 1959.
The first drink driver in Scilly?
Yes, it was, yeah.
And your role in...
Probably the only one, I should think.
Never happened since? Never happened since? No, nobody's had a drop to drink since? No?
Yeah.
And your role with the boats, what did you do with the boatman?
Well, it was before the association. Each boatman had their own boats, and we had to go down on the quay every morning and count the passengers on the boat to make sure that they didn't overload. It was quite an event, and it was very nice too in the summer to go down and count.
Council staff are staying positive about the future for key projects in Scilly in the light of significant government cutbacks announced this week. Many projects in the islands have been assisted or funded by the regional development agencies. Some of those bodies in the southeast are facing the axe, and other ones, including ours, serving the southwest, are facing 20% budget cutbacks. The Porthcressa Regeneration Scheme is one of the projects connected to the RDA. Diana Montpaloki from the Town Hall, though, says that she believes that the funding should be safe.
The RDA is also responsible for managing the European Regional Development Fund, which is €458 million for Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly. That's the funding that we hope to access for Porthcressa and for St Agnes. Obviously, we were looking to get some RDA funding to match the European Regional Development Fund. That's looking more and more unlikely, But there are ways we can structure the project so that they can still go ahead without that regional development funding, because it was quite a small element.
And Diana believes that the funding for the business facility on St Agnes should also go ahead because it's not so reliant on RDA cash.
I think we're all in an uncertain time. I think all funding is at risk. European funding should be safe, and that's the bulk of the Porthcressa money and the St Agnes money. It just means we have to look at the project slightly differently, and rather than using RDA money, use the land as match, for example. Southwest RDA is one of the smallest regional development agencies, and that's funded an awful lot of good things in Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly that people will be aware of. Things in the Isles of Scilly, like the Phoenix Art Studio through Rural Renaissance, but also projects such as Wave Hub, projects such as the Combined Universities of Cornwall. Penwith College was built with £4 million worth of Regional Development Agency funding.
The Education Secretary has written to the Five Islands School outlining how it could opt out of local council control and become an academy. Head teacher of the Five Islands School, Bryce Wilby, says the offer would allow for more freedom to develop courses and education specifically tailor-made for islands youngsters. But they have so much on at the moment with the school build, they're not going to be looking at it seriously.
It's a different type of school. It's a whole different way of structuring education in an area. So instead of the authority being responsible for running a school, you basically become a kind of semi-independent school. So you're answerable directly to government. So you have funds and everything devolved directly to the school, and they run their own budgeting, they run their own staff structure, their own staffing, and they also run their own curriculum. And in some respects, they have sort of different admissions procedures in some areas as well.
So become an independent body. It wouldn't be, if this school chose to get on that route, or any school, it wouldn't be allied to the local education authority.
That's right. That's the main difference, is that you're not directly a local authority-controlled school anymore. And that's the biggest change.
Now, the current government wants to extend that to a wider number of schools. This is not an issue for Scilly, I don't think. I have some philosophical difficulty in seeing how you can have hundreds and hundreds of almost entirely independent schools, and you can bet your bottom dollar that if that's what happens up and down the country at some stage in the not too distant future, someone will come along and impose a structure on it all.
Work on the new school build has begun in earnest this week. A bank of porta cabins has already been placed on the Carnguavel playing field to accommodate workers as site officers during the day. The height of activity took place on Wednesday when a significant amount of bulky machinery was moved up from the quay to the school site at Carnguavel. The equipment was very slow moving and mats were laid down to make sure the road surface wasn't damaged. Church Road was closed through the afternoon, disrupting buses and taxi operations. St Mary's Police say they will attend the induction of contractors to offer advice on behaviour in Scilly. Up to 60 people may be working here at the height of the school project build over an 18-month period. The largest visiting cruise ship so far this year has brought hundreds of visitors ashore to St Mary's, but the trip on Saturday was beset by two medical emergencies. The RNAS Culdrose helicopter was called out around 8:30 in the morning when a woman needed treatment for a hip injury. 5 hours later, the alert was raised again when an 80-year-old passenger who'd previously suffered from heart problems reported that he was in severe chest pain. He too was medically evacuated off the vessel, the Braemar.